Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
All right.
All right, here we are.
Welcome everybody to the Standard Byte.
Welcome back.
My name's David.
My name's Leah.
And we got Stuart in studio.
G'day.
And we are also recording for television.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, TV. If you're seeing this, remember that you can check us out live every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. on the YouTube channel. I don't know what I was gonna say.
The thing.
Yeah.
Something was happening here.
That thing with a deal. And we've got that live stream up right now. We'll
Yes,
see
we
how
have.
long it lasts for. But go to youtube.com and search for the Standard Byte to watch this show live, or catch the taping on TV.
Yep.
We are talking about BREXIT today.
Yep, we are. It's been an upheaval apparently in Europe, and there were just enough people to form a scant majority.
Yeah.
On that vote.
52%. Yeah.
That is how
Close.
that happened. It
We've-
was very close.
We have drafted Stuart as our UK and European correspondent,
In studio, yep.
as the expert of all things Europe and the UK.
That's right.
We're putting a lot on him, guys.
He's not allowed to say anything that's not true and can't guess. Yeah.
FCC.
So,
Oh, sorry.
well, we'll get it in post.
Yeah.
But it's airing live now. Here we go.
Yeah, facebook.com/standardbyte to check out our Facebook page. We have some stuff up over there. Check that out for this weekend, Sunday. And, well, let's just jump into it. 52% Brexit.
52% Brexit.
Wanted Britain to leave the European Union.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be what Parliament is probably going to do. Now, the referendum is, from what I can tell, considered an opinion vote, not necessarily a binding law or decision. I guess Parliament has the decision to whether or not to leave, but they typically side on the issue of the winning
Yeah.
side on these types of things.
Yeah.
David Cameron promised this referendum during the last general election to encourage conservative support.
There we go. One of those words.
To encourage conservative support for his bid as PM, as far as I'm aware. I don't know if anybody else has any different info on that. But, boy, it's
a big thing. It's scary for a lot of people. It's scary, particularly for the youth, apparently, of Britain, who feel like their future in the European Union was taken from them by older people.
it's just been shrunken down to
That's
the beaches now.
That's the feeling, I guess, the overall climate in the British youth. There's a journalist out there named Paul Joseph Watson. I very often watch his videos and commentary because he actually lives there. He's on the ground in London. And what he had to say about it was that this movement, while getting away from the EU, he didn't describe the EU as like this positive movement in the first place. He described it as an oligarchy, apparently, where these rulers who actually make these rules and their places are merely ceremonial. They simply do what they're told. The citizens of Britain don't actually know who these people are. They don't recognize them. They've never seen them before.
Yeah.
And this is their ruling elite class.
Yep.
And they don't get to vote on any decisions that these people make.
No.
That's what Britain wanted to get away from.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily that they thought one way or the other about.
It was anger. It was anger in a government that wouldn't listen.
That's precisely it, and they are reaping what was already being planted.
Here's my problem with that, real quick, is that if they think that this vote is what's going to make Britain listen to its citizens, they're sorely mistaken.
They weren't listening.
I have two videos that we're going to watch today that
Absolutely.
basically prove that
Mm-hmm.
from both sides of the argument. They're both making outrageous claims and outrageous statements. Nigel Farage on the the money that goes to the EU being converted over the NHS. I mean, he had it on the side of a fracking bus, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And he's going back on that now, so we'll watch that video. He was on Good Morning Britain.
All right.
And then we have.
And he's also being accused of. I'm trying to find the appropriate word that's FCC friendly.
Yeah.
I think he was the guy that's being accused of not doing what he should have to educate people on the ramifications of you know,
Yeah.
of the leave or stay.
And then you have Boris Johnson,
Mhm.
former or current mayor of London.
Boris Johnson, is he current? That's a good question.
I think he's the current.
Okay. Well, it looks like
verify
he's being promoted as David Cameron's successor, who
But he
just
doesn't want to do it.
said he resigned. Boy, I had a horrifying vision the other night of you know that picture of FDR, Stalin, and Churchill
Oh.
sitting there together in the chairs, all chummy like. Picture this: Donald Trump,
This
Boris
is already
Johnson,
funny. Oh, geez.
and Vladimir Putin.
Sadiq Khan.
Should I just wait for the air to ignite around me due to nuclear holocaust?
That's really
I
funny.
mean,
That's funny.
I don't want those guys being chummy and the leaders of the three strongest nations on the planet.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Hmm.
That is a terrifying black and white photo. Them all sitting around chuckling, holding shoulders, and smoking cigars.
That's true.
I don't.
Yeah.
That terrified me. I broke into a cold sweat when I thought about that.
That's funny. I
Yeah.
break into cold sweats if I think there's a spider on me.
I was going to say something.
Sajid Javid, I believe, or Javid,
He's the
business minister.
finance
Yeah.
or something.
That's one of the other videos we'll watch. He was heavily on the Remain side,
Mhm.
and
A lot of them were.
he was on one of the shows over there, and talking about it. But yeah, so we have that to
Okay.
Cool.
listen to today.
Very
But
cool.
if you're uncertain as a listener or a viewer, what the EU is, just Google what is the EU, and I will let you know. Since this referendum started coming up,
Mhm.
the most Googled phrase in the entirety of the UK is "What is the EU?"
Yeah.
Which is to say they didn't even know what it was, but they were voting to remain in it.
Well, it started as
Yeah.
the common market. It started
Right.
off as a good thing. There was
Right.
no political.
The economic union, yeah.
Yeah.
It was
EEC,
still-
right?
Something like that,
European
yeah.
Economic Committee, and then it became a more intrinsic
Yeah.
defense pact and all this other stuff involved in order post World War II to generate peaceful and maintain peaceful relations between these countries.
And England tried 3 times to get in. It
Yeah.
was only on the 3rd time. They went through 2 prime ministers, I believe, and it was on the 3rd that they actually got in.
Yeah.
So they fought really, really hard to get in. You know?
Absolutely. I also have demographic information on Brexit and all that stuff as well, and who voted what and why and where.
Mhm.
Just to lead things off with that, really quick, we're going to get to the bumpers in a second because we haven't done that yet.
We haven't done that.
But
But it,
Scotland, Northern Ireland, and
Wales.
London.
Lon-
Yeah, London, Wales and England. Is that the specific term for that? For the main
England,
body?
Wales, Scotland, Ireland.
Right, yeah. England and Wales voted not overwhelmingly, but by a plurality
Yeah.
to
leave.
to leave. And then Scotland, Northern Ireland, and the city of London
were heavily
for
staying.
Remain. Yes. And the Scottish people just had their own referendum about whether or not to be independent or stay a part of the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
And that was fairly heavily on the Remain side.
Oh, almost unanimous.
Yeah, and now they're calling for another one. They're like, the only reason we were decided to stay in the United Kingdom was because you guys were still a part of the EU.
Yeah.
Now you've left. Now we don't want to do this anymore.
Well, they
We
don't
would
have
like
the
to stay.
immigration problems that England is experiencing.
Yeah.
I had an email from my mother because she was born in East London, and I asked for her opinion. They've still got a lot of friends over there, so they
Sure.
were asking their friends, who are all, elderly, retired people, who are all, we're going to vote to get out.
Yeah.
Because the jobs. There's no jobs anymore because
Yep.
you can get a migrant worker. Oh, here I am being a migrant.
Ooh, Dr. Phil. Oh no.
But yeah, but it was the but for the Scottish people, they don't have that problem because no one wants to immigrate to Scotland.
Yeah.
It's too cold.
Yep.
You know, so they're like, no, we want our kids to be able to go and study in Europe. We want our kids to be able to go and learn and travel and so forth.
Gotcha.
So Scotland are just like, no, we need to be in that.
Yeah. It's it seems to be rather devastating. In my mind, I mean, a lot of businesses are going to have to change the way they do business now.
Yeah.
And while I'm very not a fan of corporations,
Mhm.
especially massive multinational corporations, I don't see this economically benefiting the UK in the ways that the Leave campaign has said it would.
No.
But then again, I also
It's
don't.
been a whopping
I mean,
48
the
hours. So.
Brexit, the film. I mean, they literally made a film
Oh,
to
no.
convince people
Yeah.
to leave. Why? I mean, I don't see Nigel I don't know.
Farage.
Nigel Farage's Farage et toi. I don't see his I don't he's got to be getting something out of this. I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And eventually we're going to get this message up.
Yeah. I struggle with
That was the hard thing for me. Was you know, I can see why the people wanted out because of
Sure.
the jobs, because of the open borders, because of all of that.
Yeah.
But what are the people in the power? What are they getting out of it?
Right.
It seems like they'd have more benefit to staying.
Yeah, absolutely. You would think.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering who signed the deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or
Or
what?
what's going on in the background?
Right. Right. But
That's a
anyways,
curious thing.
before we dive deeper into it,
Before we go any further,
You're
now that
listening-
it's been 15 minutes into the show.
hey, it's a good, whatever. You're listening to WELT 95.7. Well comes to you from the main library downtown and via the tower at IPFW. Welt is also generously funded by our good buddies over at ESCO Communications. You're listening to, I could just keep saying it over and over again.
We only need one. We are also generously funded by friends of the Allen County Public Library who encourage all Allen County residents to come to any branch library and read a book.
During normal business hours. And
I've become infamous.
I
Oh,
hope that's
no.
recording. Can someone go check and see if that's recording?
Oh, God.
I don't see,
That would really be.
I don't see a red light.
Did I not push the?
I don't even know how it works.
I don't know if
Oh,
that.
it says recording. Yep, it's flashing.
Oh, it does now? Good. I pushed the wrong button 15 minutes ago.
Oh no.
Now we get to wave again.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
No,
Hi,
we're actually
Access.
on the air.
Access Fort Wayne. Yeah.
Yes,
So
welcome.
you'll be able to catch this sometime in the future on Access Fort Wayne. But I'm going to reiterate for the people just joining us on the TV. You can catch the show live on 95.7 WELT here in Fort Wayne, or you can check it out on our YouTube live stream, which is going right now. Let's go to youtube.com and search for The Standard Byte.
BYTE.
I'm
as in
David.
Information. I'm Leah.
And this is Stuart, our UK and Europe correspondent. And we are talking about Brexit today, just as a reminder for everybody.
For anyone just tuning in to YouTube or radio or television.
Yeah, so we've just talked about Scotland versus England.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about the interesting rhetoric from both sides. I'm going to continue with that here in a little bit. But we've also got some stuff from specific people that I pulled.
Mm-hmm.
England has obviously voted, or the UK has obviously voted to leave the EU, but European leaders have stepped up their demands for the UK to quit the EU as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
However, prominent Leave campaigner and cabinet minister Theresa Villiers, I believe is how one would pronounce her name, writing in The Observer, dismissed the calls, quote, "There is no need to plunge into tabling Article 50 now. Whatever European Commission President Mr. Juncker may want." Juncker. It's the J.
It's such an American thing to
Yeah.
say, but
Yeah.
it's a German word. And yes.
Well, yeah, now that I know his ethnicity, I would have gotten it right if I'd have known that ahead of time.
That's
Took
okay.
3 years of German. No matter what Mr. Juncker may want, she writes, referring to the trigger for formal Brexit negotiations. Quote, "The period of informal negotiation prior to an Article 50 process will be crucial and should not be rushed." And I agree with that. if you, I mean, cut your leg off without proper preparation and see what happens. You know,
I mean, yeah.
you're gonna bleed out.
And that's been my concern for this whole thing is this the speed in which it happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
This-
even the dismantling of the British Empire took years.
Oh yeah.
It could, because it has to.
Yeah, it has to make
We
sure
need the
everything's
Falkland
fine
Islands.
afterwards.
For strategic sheep purposes. Give them back. What's that behind your back?
Wow. Uh,
But we need the Falkland Islands.
yeah. You didn't know that?
All right.
Thank you, Eddie Izzard.
Yes.
She's my favorite comedian.
All right. To continue this, the growing clamor from European capitals for the UK to act quickly to sever ties after its Thursday dramatic 52% to 48% vote for Brexit came as both the Tories and Labour faced divisive, destabilizing, and possibly prolonged leadership battles now. Tory MPs said they expected Boris Johnson, the leading Brexit campaigner, to throw his hat into the ring early this week in a race to succeed David Cameron as leader, a move that would trigger months of internal party strife. Leading Remain campaigner Theresa May and George Osborne may stand as quote-unquote "Stop Boris" candidates.
Yeah.
Okay.
You heard anything about that? I don't even know who these people are, honestly. I mean, I get my news of the UK from the news quiz on BBC4, so or on Radio 4.
One of the
But-
alarming things that has happened actually this morning, which would have been last night, I think, England time, was
Sure.
The Labour leader, his chief foreign, what's the word? Foreign minister, something, voted, expressed no confidence.
Told you not to guess.
I'm not guessing. This is
That
She
was
was
my guess.
Testing Leah
but
on
he
that one.
fired it.
Yeah, well, see.
Fired it. Right
Really?
then and there. So then about, I think it was 6 of the shadow minister people resigned. They all quit. So now it's like the parties are crumbling, which is kind of worrying.
Yeah, it is.
There's some good things that could happen, but it's a little worrying when
Yeah, I
who's
can't
gonna
disagree
lead
with you
the
there.
People? The people need leadership. It was their democratic vote to leave. They need strong leadership now rather than a crumbling government.
And I think what I found most interesting, especially after the vote came in, was the flippancy with which the media and as well as all the talking heads gave the Brexit vote. They're like, "Oh, no worries, we'll remain." Like the polls are looking tight, but it's still going to be remain. And
That's because of all the propaganda and preparation that they had in front of it. The years and years and years of, no, the world is going to come to an end if we leave. And that,
Well-
that kind of message that they've been giving the people, the sort
I
of
hate
picture
to
they've
use
been
that cliche,
painting.
but stronger together isn't necessarily a lie. You know what
No,
I mean?
indeed, it's not.
And honestly,
But the fact is,
global
they were,
global government.
that's pretty much what they're
World
after.
order.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it is.
Darn right, led by the Freemasons.
What was the,
Anyway.
in the video, the United States of Europe? That's,
Yeah.
Welcome to the
They
United
brought their
States.
own currency in,
Yeah.
you know, the
Yeah.
euro.
Mm-hmm.
And it, a lot of the...
Brings in $14 trillion in GDP every year. Yeah,
Where does
the
it
euro.
go?
To all of the places and people's pockets.
I was just
Yeah.
going to say, because the way...
That's how
my-
any government works.
Yeah, my particular London journalist, Paul Joseph Watson, he pointed out how much money these people actually receive
Yeah.
as slush fund, basically. They get it for whatever they want, and apparently there are private places that these people, they don't even actually have to show their faces in public. There aren't,
No.
they don't have to go shopping near the commoners, they don't have to...
Oh,
They
yeah.
have their own shopping malls.
And that,
Yeah.
and that's
Their
not
own private clubs.
and that's not to say that
They
that
don't
stuff
have to show
doesn't need to
receipts.
change.
Yeah.
But yeah, the structure of the governing body of Europe does need to change.
Correct.
But especially in a move towards transparency, which is
This is what I've been
necessary.
hoping.
Maybe
Yes.
But-
this is the key. This is, you know, London, England leaving. Maybe that's going to trigger other countries to say, hey, you know what?
This corruption,
I'll
we've
tell
had
you,
enough of it.
the
Thanks.
UK had literally one of the best deals, as of any member state in the EU.
Yeah, I did hear a statistic. Actually, this did come from my mom. That was recently London was, or England, I should say, was almost demanded from Brussels to build 200,000 new homes for the migrants,
Yeah.
and they couldn't say no.
They weren't
That-
allowed to.
They weren't allowed to say no. And when a country, England, can't say no, that's a problem.
Sure. Where did she get that, or where did that come from? Who?
That came from they're people in England. They know.
Oh, okay.
And she also another.
I didn't know if there was something I could pull up to read
Well,
more
the
about
problem
that.
is that
Actually, I'm gonna look.
the effects that it's having, the migration, the open borders is having, that there's now so many kids in school that don't speak English, that the school system has had to hire.
Yeah, I agree with that. What we're supposed to be seeing with this open border policy is it going both directions.
Yes.
But you see these UK citizens who don't. What blew my mind when I was looking at the demographics was that the people least affected by the immigration policies, i.e., rural area individuals, were complaining the most about immigration policy. We see that here in the United States. It is a
Sorry.
xenophobic, crazy idea that somehow that's going to bother you way out on your farm somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not coming and squatting on your farmland.
No.
No,
But
they're
the
not.
jobs and all the downstream effects of that.
Most of the jobs are in the cities anyways.
Yeah,
That's why
when-
people go to the cities.
When you've got English people fulfilling jobs, all of a sudden you've got, well, now we don't quite have to pay you this anymore because we've got all these other workers that are going to come in and do the job for less. So
Now they don't have to.
Go to Germany and get your schooling for free, and then go work somewhere out in Switzerland or something and make some real money. You know what I mean?
There you go.
The Swiss still have their francs. You know what I mean? It's not if you
That's
want
right.
a sovereign currency, you can still go to Switzerland for that.
Mm.
Go make watches for a living. You know what I mean?
Yep, with
I-
the chocolate and the watches.
Yeah.
The nice Germans.
Right.
I mean, there are options for individuals in the UK, but I think a lot of this information has scared many of the UK citizens into not only not wanting people to come here, but they're afraid to go anywhere else
Yeah.
because it's an uncomfortable situation they think that they're not going to know how to handle. They know what's at home.
Mhm.
They've lived there.
Mm-hmm. That's a very common attitude, actually.
I
for-
traveled to a new state from Illinois to Indiana. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anything. I didn't know where anything was at. Yes, it was scary, but you jump into it and you solve your own fracking problem.
You're sitting, yeah, that was actually part of your story as you told it, with just randomly deciding to pick up stakes out of Australia and
Mhm.
move here, and just it being scary. I don't actually know what that's like. I've not done anything like that, so.
It's good.
Well,
Part of me feels
you guys
like
driving the correct side of the road over there?
Yes. Not this side.
Okay.
We are on the
This
correct
is
side.
the correct side, just to let you know. Yeah.
No, they drive on the wrong side of the road. My
Yeah.
mom has had interesting stories about learning how to do that,
Yeah.
and so on. It's been funny.
Make sure you don't look left first before you cross the street. Always look right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just weird.
Well, why don't we keep going? We
Yeah.
got some other comments from people.
Good.
The Labor leader Jeremy Corbyn has sacked his shadow foreign secretary, Hillary Benn, after the Observer revealed he was preparing an attempt to lead a coup against him. Yep. After the move, Ben issued a statement saying she or he, I don't know who, what. Look, over in Europe, the names can mean both sexes.
It's they.
Hilary, I don't know. It's only one L in this article at least. So
Hitler.
Ooh.
Heil Ben, I don't know.
Well, Boris.
Saying was dismissed dismissed after telling Corbyn he had, quote, lost confidence in his ability to lead the party. Corbyn also faces a mutinous parliamentary Labour Party. Man, this comes from The Guardian, by the way, these bits. Many of his own MPs are furious at Corbyn's inability to swing more Labour voters behind the Remain cause and believe the party faces disaster under him.
They're actually accusing him of purposely sabotaging it.
He really didn't commit, did he? I mean,
No.
I watched somebody, believe stay, whatever.
Yeah, he
You know, it's not
that's
my
what
fault.
they're saying. He didn't do what he was supposed
Charged
to do,
with, yeah.
charged to do
Mhm.
in representing the people.
Yeah, I can see that. Labour MP was thinking of standing against Corbyn following a likely confidence vote this week said, quote, it is slipping away fast from Jeremy. Corbyn was heckled while appearing at London's Pride Festival on Saturday. He was accused by a Labour activist who posted a video of the exchange on Twitter of failing to get enough traditional Labour voters to polling stations on Thursday. Quote, I did all I could, he responded. I call fracking bug squashers on that one.
We're gonna have to get really, really creative about our expletives here.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, I'll tell you, there was some really fun stuff said to Donald Trump on Twitter by Scottish
oh my God,
people.
Some of them were very funny.
When he went over there to tour his golf course he'd just bought
and just renovated
and then randomly answered the question, which he, as of the Wednesday before, had no opinion on Brexit whatsoever, didn't even know what it was. He said, "Oh, I love it. Yeah, Brexit, leave. Europe, the UK shouldn't be in the EU."
There you go.
A comedian interrupted his podium with a 12-pack of Hitler golf balls, red swastika-covered golf balls,
oh my God.
and said, "Oh, by the way, I didn't know if we forgot to mention this, but these are available in the pro shop now."
Oh
yeah,
my God.
and so he was escorted off, but that was great.
It's interesting how this is all played into Trump's plan, and now his foreign policy suddenly seems to be complete. And it's funny how Hillary was in the stay. Trump was.
I have some bits on that too if we end up getting to it, because there's an article about this undermining Hillary Clinton's standard incrementalism talk. And she's, oh, don't jump into this right away. Well, sometimes change just needs to happen.
Yeah.
And we finally get an aggressive progressive on the left here in the U.S. Aggressive progressive, yeah.
that sounds like a train crossing.
Not as aggressive in his campaign, but Bernie Sanders was rather progressive with his ideals. And the rest of the Democrats told him, sit down, don't be so aggressive. They've only been screaming for one since Gore, and then Gore didn't even fight. I mean, I blame him for losing that election
Gore
anyways.
Is such a putz. He's
Yeah.
such a putz.
I
invented the internet.
Oh, yeah, did he?
No.
What's that?
I have more respect for Bernie.
Yeah.
I mean, even now he's sort of.
He's hunkered down. He's driving hard for those policy changes in the DNC.
And he also knows that he's probably not going to win anything, but he's still fighting.
Yeah.
Because of what, and that's a true testament of what he believes.
We as progressives have asked him to do that for us in that setting. We're going to do more fighting in other places, but when it comes to the convention and changing the DNC and the way that voting's done and the way the party is driven forward, that's his venue to fight it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's the way that happens.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to admire his tenacity.
Absolutely.
You got to admire it. I mean,
whether he wins or loses or whatever, the progressive movement's still there.
Yeah.
There you go.
And we're gonna.
He said he's backing Hillary.
Oh,
Anything to not.
He said he's voting for Hillary. Let's be specific.
Voting. I'm sorry.
And it's just, even though he had all that nonsense to say about how fake she is and how much she is backed by big money, which is his the antithesis of what he stands for.
From what I gathered,
that sounds backwards
he doesn't
to me.
like it, but that's how we defeat Trump. And in a state like Indiana that's voted blue the last two elections, and then red everything before, we are what's considered a swing state. We swing now. So I may have to hold my nose, purge my stomach, and vote for Hillary to keep Donald Trump out of office.
Well, they're funny that most of Bernie's research is showing that most of Bernie's followers won't vote for Hillary.
As of recently, 53% said they would vote for Hillary Clinton. As the most recent poll, would vote for. But that still leaves 50%. I mean, you count the margin of error in there, but 50% have said,
50-ish, yes.
yeah, that they will not vote for Hillary. So it is split down the middle, still. Now, granted, that is still less people.
Well, it's like 5 guys, isn't it? 5 people.
Right? Yeah. No, it's less people have said that they will not vote for Hillary. As they're less Bernie or bust people than there were Pumas back in 2008. That's the Party Unity that were the Obama crew that supported Hillary. So you had more people saying they would not vote for Obama that time around than now for but
interesting.
But I don't want to derail it from the Brexit discussion. Adding to the sense of instability in Westminster and Brussels, the credit rating agency Moody's cut the UK's rating to negative and warned of a prolonged period of uncertainty. There's no doubt about uncertainty. the pound sterling hit a 37-year low. The markets over here lost about 4 to 5%.
Oh, it was $2.1 trillion.
Oh, just vanished, gone from the world economy. Yeah.
Where did it? Okay.
It's
how-
all
Well-
it's all electronic and fake. There's nothing backing the world's economy.
I know the
So-
Australian dollar crashed as well.
Yeah.
The Australian dollar just
Did it?
well,
Wow.
because people freaked out, and even I read reports from the Chinese financial minister, India, a couple other places that were like,
China and Russia
Yeah,
have
it's
been
not-
together for almost the last since this vote. They've been like Putin and wow, what's his name? I don't know. I'm bad with Chinese names.
Yeah, they all sound
But
the same.
they've been sequestered in meetings together since the Brexit vote,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and they're coming out now saying, "Oh yeah, we're all buddy for life." Like,
well, the point
Bros.
was that they're all
You know?
saying now that it was a little bit drastic. You know, people's
think?
reaction was just like, sell.
yes,
yeah,
we're
but it
we're
was
gonna
like, yeah,
see a climb. I don't think this is gonna be as economically devastating as the Remain
no, it'll
crew
settle.
said, but then I don't think it's also going to be as beneficial as the Leave guys said. Yeah, so Moody's, rating the negative. Its gloomy assessment came as the White House renewed a statement delivered during the referendum campaign by President Barack Obama that the UK would go to the quote back of the queue of countries waiting to negotiate new trade deals with Washington. We're going to negotiate trade deals with the largest economic concentrations first.
Mhm.
Which is a shame because England is one of the U.S.'s strongest and oldest
Oh yeah,
allies.
yeah, and also one of its oldest enemies. I mean,
There's what was it? I was wearing a T-shirt yesterday, and the day before to celebrate Brexit, it reads it's got a picture of the British flag, and on the bottom it reads "Friends with Benefits."
And it's the Union Jack.
It is.
yeah.
It's a
Got a
flag.
friend named Jack Union.
Do you have a flag?
No flag, no country. You can't have one. That's the rules.
But there are thousands of us.
So what are they gonna do? Pull a star off that EU thing? Like, you've lost your gold star.
Maybe
They should.
Yeah,
They
just
should.
just a gap in the ring
gap,
somewhere.
just a-
Yeah, we'll stitch it in later
It's
when you
the,
come back.
That's funny.
Oh man. When Cameron announced on Friday morning that he would resign as Prime Minister by autumn, he said it would be up to his successor to trigger the formal process of talks on the terms of the UK's exit from the EU. So Cameron's given up.
I think that was one of the biggest reasons why everyone freaked out so much was Cameron instantly just, that's it, done.
Yeah,
You know,
that was a very strange maneuver in my mind.
Yeah.
And then he gave this frolicking speech about ships and steering and rudders and
And
yeah,
all sorts of colorful language.
nonsense.
So on.
Well, why don't we play one of the videos? I've
Let's play one of
got
the videos.
Nigel Farage
Yay.
talking on Good Morning Britain about the. Now, this is a great piece of journalism in my mind too. We need to do this far more over on the U.S., which is grill these people who are on your show. It's not patty cake
Yeah.
like American television. This isn't bargaining for access by not asking any tough questions.
Yeah.
When the BBC asks you a frickin' question, you answer the fracking question. And or they won't let you. They won't move on past it.
No.
It's very difficult. So we're gonna pull this
They
up
like
here.
post-production a
and
lot.
play
too,
this.
Just as an aside.
Let's see. This is from ITV. Let's restart it. ITV.
All right.
Going to be free money that we can spend on the NHS, on schools, or whatever it is.
But you're
All right, just real quick. Listen to that dance.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it's a lie, but I'm also not gonna tell you it's gonna happen. It blows. It was literally on the side of your bus. What I mean, how much more of a promise is that? Can there be? Now I apologize for those who are listening on the TV. It was probably very quiet. We'll see what we can take care of in post. But if you're listening live on the radio, that was also going to be rather quiet. But I don't have any control over
We're trying
It's
to
maxed out.
incorporate. Yeah, we're trying
So.
to incorporate a different form of media. Like,
Yeah.
And
So.
trying to split here.
Yeah, that drives me up a wall. That level of, and then he's just smugly smiling the whole time too, and
It just sounds like politics.
God, it's so sickening too. You know. All right, let's continue.
Let's continue.
As promised, we'll go
Well,
to the NHS.
you must understand, I was ostracised by the official Leave campaign and as I've always done, did my own thing.
Do you think there are other things that people will wake up this morning and find out aren't going to happen as a result of voting this way?
Well, I tell you what they will find out, that we're back to being a normal country, in charge of our own laws, and able to start making our own relationships with the rest of the world, maybe even re-engaging with the Commonwealth and the real friends we got out there.
Donald Trump's flying into Scotland.
All right, the Commonwealth.
Yes.
Let's talk about that for a second. Canada, Australia.
I don't actually.
Any other places? I mean, I'm struggling to think of what the Commonwealth countries are.
So am I.
If somebody wants to call in, by the way, we are taking calls this entire hour, as we always do on Sunday. Call us 260-424-8728. And also let us know if you think the UK should have stayed in or should have left the EU. Brexit or Remain?
That's one way of putting it. They've given it all
Hashtag.
colorful.
But yeah, there is that. And then
That's
our live
something.
stream's gonna end soon. I pretty much guarantee it.
It happens.
Yeah, I made a mistake.
No matter what you think about it, it's inspiring that it's a win for democracy. I mean, I think you alluded to it earlier on that maybe the government could not go through with it. But the one thing that resounded with me was the people have spoken and their wishes must be respected. And that was, I can't remember who said that, but for a government person to say that, and it came across that he didn't necessarily agree with the vote, but he said it's democratic, the people have spoken.
Yeah.
And that in itself is powerful.
You know, that's all I want to play of that video. I just want to have him talking about the funds going to the NHS, which are going to drive a lot of people up a wall. That's not happening. It's amazing how, compared to the United States, this is way more liberal than we are willing to be even right now.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the conservatives are talking passionately and in most cases positively about the NHS is far more liberal than even the liberals than most of the liberal left Democrats here in the United States.
Yeah.
We don't want to see a national health service or socialized medicine.
That's because they depend on the insurance companies who
Absolutely.
rake in all the
But-
money
Billions.
and then lobby them and then continue this nonsense.
And
so
I'm
that
going to
they
use the
legislate
United States
necessity
as an
for
example.
Insurance, and I can just go on forever.
I'm going to use the United States as an example here really fast for the